Why? Welcome back to Comics with Drew, and I'm Drew, and it is yet another installment of Drew Savage's A Spider-Man comic book. Bam! It is The Amazing Spider-Man number 5. This book drives me crazy. I mean, I went to the comic store to pick it up, and they hand this to me. The first thing I see here is this webbing here. It's one of those covers where you're trying, where you know that it's like, man, they've got a great idea possibly for a cover, but the execution sucks. And furthermore, on top of all of that, it isn't in the book. So it's like a double fail. Beyond that, you know, I looked at this webbing here, and I said to the guy in the comic shop, I said, "What the hell is this?" I said, "What does this look like to you?" And he goes, "It looks like scaffolding." And I'm like, well, yeah, that's one thing it can look like. But to me, I was thinking this looks more like fisherman netting. But dang it, if he's not right, it does look like scaffolding. And it's, you know, I don't even understand it. Personally, I've never been a fan of the webbing on Spider-Man's costume. I know it's a classic thing that some people like, but I just don't like it. I think it's kind of pointless because Spider-Man doesn't get caught in his own web, or shouldn't get caught in his own web. And I just think that visually speaking, that's not the best look. But that's far, far from the biggest issue with this book. Furthermore, Tombstone is apparently broken in half here. This isn't how you would behave in a fight. So, you know, I guess it looks kind of visually fun because of all the different, you know, folds in the fabric that kind of double as speed lines, but it's bad. Just to recap the story here, Spider-Man essentially in this issue gets Digger to go blow up Tombstone's business operation so that Spider-Man then can break into Tombstone's house and have a conversation with him. That's this book. After that, he goes over and has dinner with Aunt May. Right? It says it's good to be back. I'm like, okay, well, I don't think Spider-Man's back personally. I still don't think he's back. We got 5 issues. He's not back yet. Going and have dinner with Aunt May has nothing to do with it. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that Spider-Man, again, in this book, does not act heroically, in my opinion. He acts in kind of a self-serving, childish manner in which he just decides that he's going to, you know, get one over on somebody else. And again, that's not what I would consider heroic behavior personally. Now, some people might say that, right? And some people, and that's fine if they want to believe that, and that's fine if the writers want to believe that. But to me, that's not the way Peter Parker should be behaving, okay? This whole book's premise, this issue's premise, is a bad premise, and it's a bad ending to a bad story. So I can't say that I've been all that disappointed coming off the last 4 issues that this is where it ended. But the fact of the matter is that it's a gigantic waste of time, right? Again, I've said this before. I've said this in every single one of my videos on this volume. I don't know why we have a new volume of Spider-Man if this is the kind of story we're going to tell, right? It's a stupid story. So again, you can get a bad story and you can pair it with great art, and the book can be pretty okay. But and vice versa, you can get bad art and pair it with great story, and you can have a phenomenal comic book. What you cannot have is bad art and bad story, and that's what these last 5 issues have been: is bad art and bad story, and just pissing everybody off. So one thing that is different about this book than the other books is that this has a letter section, and there are people that talk about, oh, how great this issue is, and this is, you know, these people, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and tell them that they're wrong. They're wrong. I'm sorry. I'm like Peter Parker right now. I am Dark Drew. You know, I'm breaking my word. I was going to say that they're not wrong, but not, in fact, actually, no, they are wrong. There is one letter in here that actually is a negative letter, which they acknowledge, well, we're sorry that you're not digging it. But even with the fact that we have that one negative letter, this is the first time in 5 issues we've actually had a letter section. And all I can say is that that's probably indicative of the fact that the majority of the feedback on this run is negative. there is one notable thing in the letters, and I'm going to flash that up on the screen right now. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my God. We are stuck with John Romita Jr. as long as he wants to draw this book. Man, I can't wait. Okay, so let's get into the art on this book. The first page I want to talk about really is this page here with Spider-Man. The art here isn't necessarily bad. It's just, again, there are things that Romita does that I don't understand, right? With, like, again, the corduroy lines. Again, John, we have colorists that do the shading. You don't need to draw the shading, okay? It's redundant, so don't do that. But the real reason I wanted to talk about this page is because of the fact that we've got these weird lines around these fists here. This is a callback to the weird lines around the handgun in the previous issue that, you know, I guess they're motion lines, but they're just bizarre, and I don't understand the point of having them here. But, you know, that's just the teaser trailer. Here's the main event. Why? So, yeah, God. This is our first shot of Peter in this book. And, you know, again, I don't even know what to say here. He looks like E.T. the extraterrestrial here. He looks like his brain has been separated from his face, right? You know, let's go. I mean, Quasimodo, Igor, again, you know, take your pick. What in the hell is going on here? Oh my God. I can't, there's nothing I can add to this, right? Just look at this. This is, you know, oh man. Further, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the fact that he's got like a size -2 waist here, you know, that can't support this upper body. Peter's face is so bad here that it makes it almost impossible to see that in panel 2 up here. Felicia or Black Cat, her face looks like this. And then in panel 6 down here at the bottom of the page, she's a completely different person. Look at this. That's not the same person. She actually changes faces in the same scene. It's unbelievable. And then this face, what on that? What in the hell is going? Did he get a baseball implanted in his face? Okay, I'm sorry. He's Spider-Man, all right? Yeah, you can beat him up, but he heals pretty quickly. That's one of the powers of Spider-Man, is that he gets healed pretty quickly. And it's not like he had a fight with a supervillain. He went a couple rounds with a bunch of goons. So Peter should not look like this after fighting a bunch of street thugs, right? He should look like this after going toe-to-toe with the Juggernaut. That's the kind of opponent that would put this kind of damage on Peter Parker, not what we've been seeing previously. So, you know, this whole page, frankly, sucks, right? You know, this actually may be the single worst page of Spider-Man art I've ever seen. That's how bad that is. I could get into other aspects of art on this book that don't make any sense and that are terrible, but, you know, I should probably just end the video with this image. I will in fact, you know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about some other art, but the closing shot on this video is going to be this image. So prepare yourselves. Hold on to your butts. The next page, we have, again, we've got Quasimodo, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. But the other thing that, again, with Felicia, that Romita keeps doing is, and this is actually something that he was doing in the previous issue where we saw her for the first time in this run, but she's got her mouth here where it doesn't look like she has lips. I mean, she barely has any kind of lips here. And then we cut again, we don't really have lips. This is not how you draw female lips from the side, right? But then we go from this page here, these two panels, directly to the next panel. Boom, we've got big full lips. And then we've got, again, yet a third Felicia in this particular sequence, right? So we've got 3 pages, 3 different drawings of different people dressed as Black Cat. That's awful. That is awful. It's not like John couldn't just pull out the other paper and have a reference. to look at. I think, honestly, he's probably flipping through this as fast as possible and isn't even looking back to see if he's got any kind of consistency. That's how bad this art is. This isn't really bad art. This is just a logic issue that I want to point out. This particular page, we have Peter Parker. We've got dawn occurring. It's early in the morning, and Peter climbs out as Spider-Man here in panel 2. And then he says he's going to grab a quick coffee, and then he's drinking it as Spider-Man. And then he says, and then he takes off. I'm like, okay, so he dresses up as Spider-Man and then goes and buys coffee and then drinks the coffee. You got time to do that? You know, I guess he could go down to the coffee guy as Spider-Man and give him some money and then take off with the coffee. It's just weird, you know? You don't see other superheroes doing this. And again, I know Spider-Man is not other superheroes, but you wouldn't see Batman swinging into the 7-Eleven and going in and getting a big gulp and walking out, right? That's not generally what we're doing when we're actually superheroing. But again, we have this whole page is talking about Spider-Man spending the entire day fighting crime rather than, going out and getting a job. So again, it's Peter being irresponsible and being an asshole, really, is really all he's doing. So, and what's the point of him doing this, right? Ultimately, the point of him doing this is to find out what Tombstone's doing so he can get one over on Tombstone, right? Hey, Peter, newsflash, you got bills to pay, bro. You might want to get a job so you can pay the bill collector guy that's hanging out in front of your building all day long rather than trying to get Tombstone back. I mean, again, Peter Parker is an ass in this volume of Spider-Man, okay? He just is. He's not taking care of his responsibilities, and, there's nothing to be sympathetic with him about, right? There's not a single thing that Peter Parker has done in this storyline that makes me feel bad for Peter Parker because Peter Parker's just being a dick. All right, so we're almost done with the art, but I do want to talk about this page. This is a 9-panel page, and I hate 9-panel pages. Unless you're Alan Moore, I don't think that you should be allowed to write 9-panel pages, right? This is not something I really want to see. This is pretty much the end of the book, right? And it's Spider-Man in Tombstone's house talking about how he's getting him back by having Digger wreck his operation someplace else, and he doesn't want to be on the same team with Tombstone or be perceived as being on the same team with Tombstone. And so this is his way of getting Tombstone to basically not manipulate him in the future. Hey, I have an idea. Maybe, Peter, you should use some of your genius IQ intellect to not get played like an imbecile. Maybe that would help out. But, hey, this is the way Peter is now. So this page is asinine on principle. I hate 9-panel pages. And again, the art isn't necessarily bad other than I don't like the way John Romita is drawing things these days. But I can't stand 9-panel pages. We're in a Spider-Man comic book. This is not Watchmen, guys. This is not a Tom King midlife crisis book, all right? It's not Mr. Miracle. So knock it off. The last thing I want to talk about art-wise is, again, Aunt May, who looks like a shriveled prune. Look, you can draw people who are older in a little bit more respectful manner than the way Romita is doing this these days. And, I'm not even going to talk about the fact that Peter looks like an idiot. This is a stupid drawing of Peter Parker, okay? That's a dumb-looking Peter Parker. But this is not how skin looks. This is not how older people's skin looks. They don't have wrinkles going vertically across their mouth. I mean, she looks like someone pulled her carcass out of a coffin and then reanimated her. That's how bad this art is. So again, Amazing Spider-Man, number 5, hot garbage. This image here, again, does not appear in the book. Not that it would matter because it would still suck. It's a dumbass book. It's a terrible book. Again, it's not personal. I know that John Romita Jr. is a good artist. He does have the ability to draw fantastic things. He's done so in the past, okay? All right? So don't come at me saying that I just hate John Romita Jr. I don't. But I'm not going to sit here and say that a Spider-Man book, an Amazing Spider-Man book drawn by him, is worth it at the rate that he's doing this stuff. It's horrifying, okay? It's bad art. And then Zeb Wells has this big story he's talking about that he's teasing everybody about. Look at this great story we've got. And it's a 5-issue arc of Tombstone doing regular gangster stuff with a little bit of Spider-Man in there. And it's not interesting. It's terrible. It wrecks the Peter Parker Mary Jane dynamic. It wrecks Peter Parker as a character. It wrecks Spider-Man as a character. And it violates all kinds of basic common sense and continuity with how it treats characters. You know, it's like, again, with the Digger thing, it's like the dude is invincible. What's he afraid of? So what's his motivation to go and hammer Tombstone's guys because he's scared of the Rose? I mean, really? I mean, anyway, so bad. It's a terrible book. So we have 900 coming up. It's probably an oversized $10 book. So prepare your wallets. And I'll definitely be reviewing it. I do know that in the letters, like I said, we're stuck with John Romita Jr. as long as he wants to draw it. So, okay, great. I mean, they all seem to be very pleased with them. I don't know why. If you like this video, please like and subscribe if you don't mind. That helps me have more motivation for doing these videos. And also, I just found out, someone let me know, that I did not have my email address in my contacts. So I updated my about for the channel so you can see my email address and you can send me an email if you want. If you have a comic that you'd like me to review, let me know, and I'll certainly be happy to look into it. Again, thanks for watching Comics with Drew. I'm Drew, and I leave you with this parting gift. Catch you next time. Why?